Back in my violin making shop for tonight. There won't be much of any glamorous woodworking going on tonight. Tonight's kind of an in-between phase, which I have to make some jigs and fixtures and do a little bit of resawing. So far with my viola, I've got this top glued up, and it sounds quite nice. I also have what's going to be the back of this, which is made from a solid single piece of willow. Oh yeah, I hear that ring. Good stuff. This is the mold that I'll be bending the ribs onto. The ribs, or sides, of the instrument, which are also made from willow. Here is the plan that I'll be following for this build, complete with metal templates, courtesy of my teacher Ivan. This model is actually one of Ivan's own personal designs, and it is kind of modified based on a tortoise viola pattern, which is mostly characterized by a nice broad lower bout. I like big bouts, and I cannot lie. And it's a 16-inch model, and I've got all the vital measurements here that I need to go off of. And yeah, I'm excited for this build. As I mentioned, my teacher Ivan is helping me out a whole lot. Every time I go over to his place, it's a new lesson, and I couldn't be happier with this little arrangement we got worked out. And in this case, I'm doing something for him. I am going to be splitting or resawing these two billets of spruce for him, because his bandsaw doesn't quite have as much oomph as mine does. So I mentioned the word resawing, but what does that actually mean? Most of the time when people use a bandsaw, they use it to cut, sometimes they use it to cut curves, which involves getting a flat piece like this and feeding it into the blade and kind of moving it side to side. In this case, what it's going to involve is staining this piece vertically and running the blade right down the middle of this in order to split this into two identical pieces. In order to resaw a board and do it correctly, you need a resawing blade, which usually means a blade that is about 1/2 inch to 3/4 in depth from here to here. And you also want as few teeth as possible. In this case, I think this has about 3 teeth per inch. And the lower tooth count actually helps excavate a lot of the dust and take a bigger bite, which is necessary when you're clearing this much waste from top to bottom. Now, in order to do that, first thing I need to do is raise my blade guard to give myself enough clearance. Tighten the blade. You don't want your blade coming off your wheels mid-cut. That would be very bad news. Get your dust collector ready to go. And most importantly, don't forget your ears, because I'm a musician and I'm very precious about my hearing. And lastly, I got kind of lazy. I made 4 of these things, these little U-bolts with this kind of semicircular clamping caul. And that's made so these little U-bolts can go through this hole in the mold here. And whenever I bend my C-bouts and glue them in place, this thing can be tightened down to hold it in place. And that would go for all 4 of these corner blocks. Back in Antonio Stradivari's days, the way they used to do it is they had a dowel that went through the mold like so, and they had another dowel like this, and they just used some string to lash these 2 dowels together to pull this tight. This method is a little bit more solid. So yeah, nothing too glamorous tonight, but the next time you see me, we're going to be bending some wood.